G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. Whoa, another monster juniper prostrata. I've done a monster one before which is probably double the size of this, but another juniper prostrata that belongs to Joe, one of my customers here in Melbourne. I think originally the front was in here somewhere. There's some really long branching now starting to happen. And one of the main problems with these juniper prostratas is all the actual main branches come from the top of the tree. I'll give you a spin because the back you can actually see something which is interesting. You can actually see the trunk because there's nothing in the back. There's no branching in the back at all pretty much. I think there was no sun on this side at all. All this is really died off. All the foliage is on this side that's sunny. Now where do you start on these trees? That's always the trick. Like I can see an interesting trunk. There's a nice trunk line. All the branches are at the top. But where do you start? How do you get into this tree? What do you actually start doing? Well, it's a process of elimination, I think, really. There's not much, you got to start. For me, I need to eliminate things that are not going to work, that are not good for the tree, that are just too long or too uninteresting. So you can probably see there's a branch here that's probably, it comes from about up here on the tree. Right up, it's really heavy and long. Now we don't need all that distance. We're never going to use the whole thing. So I start to at least cut back some of it. Just slowly eliminate some of this. Apologies for the wind. I can't do anything about it, but hopefully you can hear me. So I'm really trying to eliminate some of this massive amount of growth. So it's still too much. Okay, so starting to reduce some of the foliage. Now then there's this branch here. Now it's kind of interesting because I'm going to try and lift it. It actually starts pretty low, but there's nothing really, all this is really unhealthy. There's nothing until the end. Now, I'm going to reduce it back to somewhere in here for now, but I don't think I think this will be a gin eventually. So there's no point having this part at all on the tree. And now all this is quite weak anyway, so it's most likely going to be a gin, a nice gin here that will do some showery work on the trunk and start to expose the trunk. So that's the first couple of little steps. Then you look at all unhealthy growth. So I'm going to get rid of that. Is there any other bits? Probably lots of bits. There's probably some bits up here that are no good. I don't want it. We've got lots to work with without even having to worry about all that unhealthy growth. Now that's one step. Where's the next? What do you see? I can hardly see into it still. All right, so now we go work through the tree, try to find branches that are good and no good. So you actually start to work up the tree and go, okay, what's gonna work? What's gonna be good? What's interesting? Now, I will try and give you a little glimpse in here. Hopefully, you get it around more. If I can pull all that, hopefully that works. Without my hand being in the way. Now we can see some sort of trunk. It's got some actually nice movement. Now I'm going to go through each branch and try and figure out where's the healthy parts. Clean up all the dead branches. The same story, clean up anything underneath. Think of the branches you'll keep them. Think if you're going to keep all these branches, but you're not going to. But think about you're going to keep them, clean them out, see if they're actually good. Can they fit a design? Can you see them in the tree? So that's just a bit of a lesson. Now I'm going to have a look at the tree and try and come up with the design. Alright, it doesn't look like much that I've done, but I've cleaned out a lot of the tree and a lot of the dead branches and so on. I'm trying to identify some areas that I can work with and some branches I want to keep. Problem is a lot of the branches are very leggy, so really leggy but nice. This is a nice branch but it's very leggy. I've ginned that branch there. I'm going to create some shari down the trunk as well with this gin, and I'm going to see where it all ends up because the whole trunk has very little taper. It's all the same size all the way up. So I'm going to be, again, got to be creative a little bit here with this tree. I'm going to start the wiring process already. I'm not going to remove too much more. I'm just going to see how we kind of end up. I just want to try and keep some of the branches I know I need to keep. Like I really like this branch, so I want to try and see if I can position something nice and tight, try to get it compacted. I've had to leave the big heavy branch here, so we've got to figure out how we're going to use that. It's quite heavy, but it's got a lot of the foliage on it, so it's going to be hard to remove. I've wired this branch. Now I've pushed it backwards and then I brought it forwards, trying to create some pads roughly, trying to give me an idea of a design. Now, the other thing I've done is I've actually wired a really nice branch that was up around here, and I've wired it and I've actually positioned it underneath this huge heavy one. down here. So I'm actually trying to use another branch to get, so I can eliminate this really heavy, ugly branch. I'll show you what it looks like. It's almost the same thickness as the trunk, so then it's starting really high. So that's the one I want to try. I'm going to eliminate this. That's the reason I was trying to wire some branches already, to see if I can actually eliminate the big problematic branch. Now, I usually don't really like taking branches off, as you know, but that's just unavoidable. That's something that's got to come off. It just doesn't look right with the tree. All right, let's get into it. So after cutting all that off, you can now see the branch that I'm talking about. This branch in here, I'll be able to twist it and bend it and put into place. Now it's just a matter of how much of this I'm going to keep as a gin. I probably just want a short one. It's too long at the moment. I don't want a really long one there. I'll cut it to there for now, and then we'll see where this ends up, and then I'll try and reduce it a bit further. But yeah, there's no taper in the actual gin. Like if I have a gin, it's too straight and boring. You want to have a bit more taper, and that's why I have a bit shorter gin. Okay, so here's how the tree is evolving so far. I've removed that huge large gin that was coming along down here, and I used that branch, and I'll show you a close up of that branch to create this nice little pad that's close into the trunk. And then on this side I've got that large branch that I wanted to use, and I pushed it back and twisted it and started to create the pads. Now I haven't touched the top area yet, which will come. I think the front is in around here somewhere. It's got the beautiful Nabari around here. It's got the gin here. I haven't actually done the shari work, but I will do that soon. I just want to show you the layering that I started. So this side is a bit higher up. This side's a bit longer. So then the apex needs to sit more on this side. So this side will continue to be shorter, and this side will be a bit more full. And then we should have a really nice tree come up with that. So just a quick close up of this area. So I've used that branch back there, twisted it right around underneath the gin, and created this layer, this branching here. So that's how I've done that. So a bit of imagination, a bit of technical skills, but you can get there. It's just a matter of positioning. Doesn't matter where the branch kind of starts or where it finishes. That's probably one of the lessons I've learned. So really nice padding there, really nice padding in there. And pretty much now I've just got to go through the whole tree. There's a lot more foliage up the top, so we'll have a look how that all comes together, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I might have to do the shari work now because all these branches are going to sit in there, so I'll start to do that now. So you can start to see the trees taking shape with the shari running along the trunk line. I joined up all the gins that are along here. I didn't go up to this one just yet. I just left it at this point. I made a very thin thin shari, because I like that to slowly close over and then reopen it again and again and again, like slowly build up a bigger shari over time. It looks more natural rather than doing one big one through it. Like it looks better when it grows over a bit and then do it again, shari again, so it gives you more layering. So then I've actually completed putting this branch in here, into this spot up here. So that's really nice, coming up really good on that side of the tree. You can see the look now it's going for over here. The back branches are all done as well. So the back branches in here. So I've been able to put some down into these areas into the back area here, just to give a bit of depth. Now with a bit of sunshine, those branches should come back healthier. They're a bit lack of sunlight. I've actually wired 3 of these heavy branches at the top. Now it's a matter of figuring out, can I use all 3, or can I only use 2, or can I only use 1? An easy one is this branch needs to fit in here anyway, so it's very long, so I'm going to try and go backwards, around, down, and try and sit him inside this gap in here. I've got a back branch here that I'm just going to twist and put in the back as well. Now I'm left with this tall one, so that kind of fits nicely in here. Left this tall one and this side one, which I was going to put in this position here. Now I'm having a look, and this really is almost this nice height for the tree around here. I think if I use this, I think this is going to be too twisted and make the tree too tall. But if I use this, it's actually a bit straight. I was going to put it just as a side branch, but I think it will look better if I twist it around and kind of make that as the new apex. And then I'll wire all these out so you can see a much nicer tree, much more uniform tree with smaller foliage. This, unfortunately, I think I'll have to get rid of. Even though I've wired it up, I think I just need to, if I eliminate that, I think that would be a much nicer tree. I wouldn't be able to twist that up and put it in anywhere. Everything's quite heavy and dense already, so I need to make a bit of space. So I think that's going to be gone. So I'm going to proceed to wire all these bits out and probably have to remove that. So here's the finished product after many hours of wiring. It's come up really nice from when it started. It was pretty happy with the result. I still went with the kind of the original front. The tree is tilted slightly forwards. I'll just give it a spin so you can see how it's slightly forwards. So you can see how much forward I've just tilted it. So it come up pretty nice. Just needs to fill out now a little bit in certain areas. Especially the back needs a bit of health. It needs a bit of light and healthiness to start to really bring that back to life at the back there. But other than that, it's come up really well. It was a process of elimination at the start, removing all the unwanted branches, working on the good parts, keeping the good branches, and being able to manipulate those into the spots you need. Remember, it doesn't matter where the branch starts, it's where it finishes. That's important. So that's pretty much what I did. I used branches that were probably had more taper and were skinnier than the bigger, fatter branches. In the end, I only removed really that big, huge one out here and this one down here and a couple of small ones. So it wasn't, the main difference was that big one that was right down here. It was quite huge and it was up here. Being able to get rid of that and use a smaller branch to actually make the nice silhouette and nice branching out here helped it really well. So that's it. That's how I transformed this tree. Hope you guys enjoyed that transformation of this tree. I really enjoy transformations and doing workshops with people and working on their trees and transforming them. That's probably one of my favourite things to do. So really nice result again with this one. It's a miniature version of the big huge one that I did several months ago, but it's come up really well. I think Joe's going to be happy with this tree. Alright guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.